bodies, we come into the world with a very specific set of contracts, and those contracts are sort of the bridge between the soul and the chakras. And if you don't know your contracts, you don't know your purpose, you never understand why your chakras aren't ever behaving for you. So we teach people how to live in the chakras, how to experience them, how to understand their energies, these various different levels of their consciousness, but also understanding that the rock you have to build yourself on is this deeper understanding, like we were just saying in the secret place. You knew your purpose in your secret place, and it wasn't anything other than to enjoy your life in a very specific way. And
yes.
some people in that place were very organized and had all of their stuffed animals in a row, and they were like little soldiers. And others were, thought they were pirates on a ship, and others were just softly, gently watching the sky and looking at the blades of grass, and maybe a little grasshopper jumping along, and others were just literally climbed up high up on a tree and were thought they were flying because they love to be up above the world. So each of those qualities represent each of the things what we did in our secret place, who we were back then, is actually what we're supposed to build our life as right now. And by knowing that, we can make very different choices now in our lives as adults when we realize what really makes me happy and has made me happy since I was born is this. And
right.
Then we can choose work, we can choose relationships, and we can choose how to support ourselves in our health in a very different way than if we just follow, Dr. Mercola says this, and so says that, and this is the way you're supposed to have relationships, and this is a good business person, I'll go to business school, or I'll take some coaching on business. Those things only lead you to the cookie cutter, and the most important cookie cutter is to find out what cookie you were cut from.
Oh, what cookie you were cut from. So in the last show, we talked about that your mate or your significant other probably energetically you're attracted to them because they have a different life purpose than you, and to balance each other out. And what I'm thinking about right now is self-acceptance, because I'm not sure if you use this term in your book, but the idea of a shadow choice. In other words, could a person choose one of the 5 life purpose profiles that is more conforming to what society expects, like, say, the achiever, because society loves workaholics and achievers, and they may really be the soft. The soft.
Very much. Well,
yeah.
One interesting thing that I've found is energetically that there's no discernible difference between the number of men in each of the profiles and the number of women. So there are an equal number of women leaders as there are men. There are equal number of women achievers as there are men. There are an equal number of women caretakers as there are men, and equal number of emotional intelligence people as there are men, and the equal number of creative people as there are men. There are more leaders on the planet than any of the others by a lot. Like 40% of the people, 30 to 40% of the people on the planet are leaders. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. And so that's why we tend to have wars, because they tend to not get along. They tend to only want to do it their way. So we do have that as one of our things. One of the crosses we have to bear is that we have a lot of leaders that haven't really been brought up on leadership. But the hardest part about it is that women are brought up to believe that the best thing they could be is a caretaker or a deep feeler, and so they will enhance those qualities within them, and they will negate the fact that many of them are charismatic leaders or achievers. And so it's very important that we see that women often use their leadership quality to be a better team player or a better emotional intelligence specialist. But it's truly, until they know that they are actually a leader or an achiever, it's very difficult for them to ever feel whole in the world. And the same thing applies for men. There are equal number of men that are deep feelers and caretakers in the world, and they are taught that if you're not an achiever or a leader and very independent and out there and going for it in your life, you're a loser. What's the matter with you? You got to be tough and get out there. And so they learn to shut their feelings down. So and pretend that they are that other person. And then and really truly other than, I mean, I guess it's coming, sort of the computer geek, I guess, with all of the electronics and everything, that's becoming more of an accepted personality. But certainly when we were growing up, nobody wanted to be a geek. Nobody wanted to be that sort of out in left field type of person. Nowadays, my son, because I have a lot of geek in me, my son, who also was brilliant, but creatively brilliant. He was never a go-getter or a leader or anything like that. He was totally happy to be with the sort of geeky computer guy friends. And I had talked to him one time about it, and I said, well, how is that for you in school? And he goes, oh, it's really no problem. All my friends know that all those big dumb jocks and popular kids, they're all going to work for us someday anyway. So it's not a problem.
Oh, that's funny.
So anyway, I think that's being more accepted. But certainly when we were growing up, that was totally not accepted, and that was what I was. That was my primary, and so it was sort of, I immediately said, I'm going to be an achiever, because at least I had some of that in me, and I could do that. But we often try to live in our shadow, in the secondary quality, which sometimes is our shadow and sometimes isn't. But we try to be what we think is going to be accepted the most, and what's accepted the most in men is leadership, and what's accepted most in the women is compassion. And if you have to fake it to do it, it's never going to work for you.
No, it's never going to work, and you're going to get the imposter syndrome, and you're going to exile parts of you that are really vital to you. Your, as you said earlier, your soul, your inner light. And how many people do that? As you said in the last show, that we choose love and acceptance over finding our own true self. Right.
We all have to make that tough choice.
Yes.
And if you come into the world and you know yourself as non-form, and the child is just like, I'm here, and the parents say, whoa, no, not I'm here. It's you're a Rhys, my name's Rhys, and you're a Duffy, and this is what you you have to, and girls dress like this and boys dress like that, and this is the way we behave, and this is our religion, and all of these things that we have to instantly sort of accept and learn and behave like, so that we get accepted. And if we didn't, what if we decided that we didn't want to speak the same language our parents spoke? Right? You would be a learning disability within hours. And yet, why do we have to? Why do we have to speak not only our parents' language, but also then learn all of the shadow, emotional negativity within the words that they're teaching us? All of their own personal grievances go into those words, and we don't have those. We should, and ultimately, when we work with people in the school, one of the things that we work with them on is taking all the words that are charged for them in their lives, and redefining those words as something that serve them. And one of them, for me, was anger, because in our family there wasn't a lot of anger. It was more sort of like we stood in judgment of those crazy people that were always yelling and screaming and angry, and we didn't do that. And so anger was this thing there was a harsh judgment about people that were angry or rageful. But as I grew up, I realized that anger is, and I learned that in the East, anger is the most important emotion, because without it, you don't change anything. So So anger comes up. Anger is just heat that rises through your body. What we call anger is actually an energetic cleansing. So if someone were holding you down, and you couldn't breathe, and you needed to get somewhere, and you needed to get up and get something, you would get angry and you'd get hot and you'd fight. Okay, so energetically, when someone ties you or paints you into a corner in your life, or you're being held down by your own belief systems, if you can't get angry about that, if you can't heat up and get angry about that, you can't make that change. And so when we vow, and I talk about vows in my book, and it's one of the elements how we ultimately limit ourselves. We vow to always be this or never be that. Mm-hmm. When we vow to never be angry, we actually vow to never change.
Yes. Wow.
So it's sort of like, embracing the whole self, as you said, the shadow. Anger isn't a shadow until you don't understand it, until you don't understand the energetics of it.
Right.
When it's a word that means aggression, and negation of another person. Now that's not really anger,
right?
That's dominance. That's
dominance, rage.
Right. That's rage and aggression. Aggression is where you lose yourself and are literally not even in your body, and you're living in that other person's world, trying to manipulate it, control it. And that's not anger. Anger is actually something that is totally held within you. So when I redefined anger for myself, I could feel how when anger comes up within me, it's telling me I need to make a change.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, we have just a couple of minutes, the two biggest pejorative words, lazy or selfish. And so these words have a lot of emotional charge that can be reframed. Yep. Absolutely. And lazy is often directed from the achiever. So the achiever judges everybody as being lazy because they aren't as driven as they are. Mm-hmm. And when we're taught that the need to relax is lazy, we never find a balance in our lives. Mm-hmm. And I lived there. And it wasn't really until the last few years when I moved to Spain and learned how to be a little lazy every now and then, and just actually let some things slide, and actually lower my expectations for how much I'm supposed to make on a certain deal or this or that or what, all of those things. When I changed that and realized that lazy isn't lazy, the word lazy just means not having anything to do. Yes. And Rhys Thomas, I have to interrupt you again.
Yep.
This is amazing. This has been a wonderful show. Rhys Thomas, very interesting first name, Rhys Thomas, Thomas, discoveryourpurposebook.com. So to not only order Rhys's book, but to order it with all kinds of bonuses and to see a keynote speech of his and demonstrations. Thank you so much. Discover Your Purpose, the 5 life purpose profiles to unlock your hidden potential and live the life you were meant to live. Rhys Thomas, thank you so much. It's been a complete pleasure.
Well, Dr. Duffy, it was my pleasure too.
Thank you. And this is Dr. Duffy Spencer saying goodbye for now and wishing you great relationships.